Good morning, Eastside Youth. This is our Sunday morning little discussion and study. This is pre-recorded. I am going to be preaching this Sunday in regular service, so about the time that I'd normally be over doing this live on Facebook. I will be getting ready and getting stuff squared away in the other building for Sunday service. So I wanted to record this ahead of time and make sure that you guys have this morning. We're going to be in 2 Kings chapter 15. But before we do that, I want to just give you guys a couple of things, just a couple of notes here. As of right now, we are planning on having both the 2020 graduation for those of you who are seniors and have graduated this year. We're going to be recognizing you next Sunday. I believe we will be having a note both in the morning and in the evening at youth group. And so we would love for those of you who are able to be there, we have a gift for you as well as an activity to celebrate you. And yeah, that will be next week, June 14th, regular youth group time, 4 p.m. But also for those who are incoming sixth graders, we would love to welcome you to youth group next Sunday, June 14th as well, 4 p.m. And we will try to get you plugged into our social media stuff and into the emails and all those things as quick as possible. And you should be hearing from me this week. Time's weird when you're recording stuff in advance, so you'll be hearing me ahead of when I'm recording this, but probably before you are actually seeing it. Yeah, so that's kind of what we have right now. We're also looking at an activity for the following week, and I will have some updates for you guys tonight at youth group at 4 p.m. And we will also be finishing our study in Numbers tonight. So a lot of stuff's happening. We're excited for it. But I am going to pray, and then we will get started in our discussion looking at 2 Kings chapter 15. Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for today. We thank you for everything you've given us. We just thank you for the chance to still meet online. I pray that all of these teens and young people are having a great week, that they're looking at the start of their week, that you would just challenge them to go deeper in their faith, find ways to show love to one another and to others this week. And I just ask that as stuff continues to get going, that you would help us to be safe, but also help us to celebrate being able to get back together in person. We love you and thank you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen. This hat, sorry, I should address the stupid hat, which I don't think is stupid, but it might look a bit. It just came in the mail, so here we are. I'm wearing it. So this week we are in 2 Kings chapter 15, like I said, and we are going to be turning our attention back to the kings of Judah. So I know I've said this a few times, but in this we're tracking kind of two different nations, the people of Israel and the people of Judah. And last week we did a little bit with one of the kings of Judah, but then we jumped over to Jeroboam, the second king of Israel. And this week we're hopping back over to Judah to talk about one of their kings. So we're going to start 2 Kings chapter 15, starting in verse 1. It says, "In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Azariah, the son of Amaziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 16 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done. Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and made offerings on the high places, and the Lord touched the king so that he was a leper to the day of his death, and he lived in a separate house. And Jotham, the king's son, was over the household, governing the people of the land. Now, the rest of the acts of Azariah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Azariah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and Jotham his son reigned in his place." So 27 years. Last week I said we looked at the reign of King Jeroboam II. So 20 years into King Jeroboam II's reign, Azariah becomes the king in Judah. He was a teenager probably when he was a teenager when he started to reign, I believe. Yeah, he was 16. So he was about the age of some of you guys, maybe a little older, a little younger for some of you. And we're told that he reigned 52 years. It's a long time. And tracking some of these kings, it's one of the longer reigns that we have seen in the book of Kings so far. And we're told that he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. However, those high places, those other places where people were going to offer sacrifices, were not taken away. They were not torn down, and they were still being used. And what's interesting about him is that it says that he was a leper all the years that he reigned. And I want to just make a note here that leprosy, we talked about this when we went through the book of Leviticus, but leprosy was not just the idea of leprosy where you have like a skin-eating disease like we think of it today. Leprosy, especially in the book of Leviticus and in the Jewish culture, was really any skin condition. And there were tests that you had to go through to see if that skin condition was cleared up. Now, it says that he was a leper all of his days. So it doesn't seem to be this like skin eating thing where he like dies from it, because he reigned 52 years. But whatever it is, he suffered from some sort of skin ailment that their words would have been used that he was considered a leper. And so he had to dwell in a separate house. And that was in accordance with the book of Leviticus. I want to say it is, I think it's Leviticus 13, where it lays out the laws for leprosy and also leprosy in a house. So Azariah is trying to live according to those laws as king, and he lives in a separate house. And we're also told that his son Jotham plays a lot of the actual like governing roles. Since Azariah was a leper, he was often separate from people, and so his son Jotham steps into those roles a lot of the time. And when Azariah dies, his son officially becomes king, even though like he had practiced his rule up to that point. And so then we're gonna continue reading, because we'll talk about Jotham at the end of this chapter. But you got to note that this has at the beginning we're highlighting a king of Judah, and then we're going to hop away from Judah and we're going to go Israel, 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 Israel. We're going to talk about 5 kings of Israel, and then we're going to hop back to Jotham, king of Judah. So we have these 2 like Judean kings that are kind of like bookends to a group of Israeli kings in the middle. So that's what we're going to do. Verse 8, chapter 15, verse 8. In the 38th year of Azariah, the dude reigned for 52 years, remember, so 38 years into that, king of Judah, Zechariah, the son of Jeroboam, reigned over Israel in Samaria for 6 months. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his fathers had done. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which he made Israel to sin. Shallum, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him and struck him down at Ibleam and put him to death and reigned in his place. And the rest of the deeds of Zechariah, behold, they're written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the promise of the Lord that he gave to Jehu. Your sons shall sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation. And so it came to pass. So back over to Israel. In contrast to the rule of Azariah, we're told that he ruled for 52 years. We have this tiny little span of 6 months that Zechariah reigns. And unlike Azariah, we're told that Zechariah did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. And at the end of this, he has somebody conspire against him, rises up, has him killed, and takes the throne in his place. And we're told that this is to fulfill what was written. Sorry, I want to get it right, by Jehu, as a promise to Jehu, that your son shall sit on the throne of the 4th generation. So this is the 4th generation now that we're told he's done, and somebody else is going to reign. Shalom, I don't know, whatever. he is the guy who kills Zechariah and reigns in his place. So we're going to go with verse 13. It talks about him. Shallum, the son of Jabesh, began to reign in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah. And he reigned 1 month in Samaria. Now, real quick pause. Uzziah it's this weird like note, but this is like another name that Azariah, that king of Judah that we just talked about at the beginning, that's like another name he went by. So they've chosen to use an alternative name. Then Menahem, the son of Gadi, came up from Tirzah and came to Samaria, and he struck down Shallum, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria, and put him to death and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the deeds of Shallum and the conspiracy he made, behold, they're written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. At that time Menahem sacked Tifsah and all who were in it and its territory from Tirzah on, because they did not open it to him. Therefore he sacked it, and he ripped open all the women in it who were pregnant. Yikes. Not great. Very bad. So this next guy, Shallum, he is the one who killed the previous king of Israel, and he takes over as king, and he reigns, in comparison to the previous king, 6 months. He reigns 1 month. That's all he gets. And this guy, yeah, and he's like the previous guy. It said that he did was evil in the sight of the Lord. This guy doesn't really. We don't need that explanation, because at the end it talks about like how he was as a king. He was awful. He was like killing pregnant ladies, assuming that he was doing so to like population control. I don't know, but either way, it's sick, and he should not have been doing that. And so he gets 1 year, and then he is overthrown by a guy named Menahem, which we're going to read about now. Verse 17. In the 39th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Menahem, the son of Gadi, began to reign in Israel, and he reigned 10 years in Samaria. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart all his days from all the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which he made Israel to sin. Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that he might help him to confirm his hold on the royal power. Menahem exacted the money from Israel, that is, from all the wealthy men, 50 shekels of silver from every man, to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and did not stay there in the land. Now the rest of the deeds of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? And Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah his son reigned in his place. Okay, so this guy overthrows the throne, and we're told that he does what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he works out a deal with the king of Assyria. And the deal is essentially he taxes the people of Israel in order to pay off the king of Assyria to leave them alone and don't attack them. And we looked a couple weeks ago how God sent this savior, the person or the entity is not listed, that he sent to save the people from the nation of Syria. But it's likely that this is a part of that situation. This Assyrian king went and he messed with Syria to distract Syria from Israel and Judah at that time. And so Menahem gives this money to this foreign king. Not great, but it's not killing folks and killing their kids, so all right. He reigns 10 years, so we see that kind of this comment about longevity and the type of king they are. But we're holding it up to this standard that we saw in the beginning of this king who people viewed as unclean, but was actually a good king. We're told that he did what was right in the sight of the Lord. And so he dies after 10 years, and his son Pekahiah begins to reign. Verse 23, in the 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, the son of Menahem, began to reign over Israel and Samaria, and he reigned 2 years. And he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, which he made Israel to sin. And Pekah, the son of Remaliah, his captain, conspired against him with 50 men of the people of Gilead, and struck him down in Samaria in the citadel of the king's house with Argob and Arieh, and he put him to death and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the deeds of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they're written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. So After 10 years, his son Pekahiah begins to reign, and he has a short reign, 2 years, because people conspire against him. These 50 guys conspire against him. Pekah, led by Pekah, conspire against him to have him killed, and we're told that Pekahiah did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. That is the end of his reign. Verse 27 tells us about this fifth Israelite king in between the two Judah kings. Verse 27, in the 52nd year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel and Samaria. And he reigned 20 years, and he did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did not depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which he made Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and captured Ijon, Abel-Beth, Maach, Genoa, Kadesh, Hazor, Gilead, and Galilee, and all the land of Naphtali, and he carried the people captive to Assyria. Then Hoshea the son of Elah made a conspiracy against Pekah the son of Remaliah, and struck him down, and put him to death, and reigned in his place in the 20th year of Jotham the son of Uzziah. Now the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did, behold, they're written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. All right, so Pekah is king, and this is when it goes down. So remember, 2 kings prior, Menahem pays off the king of Assyria to leave them alone, but it is very short-lived, because only 2 kings later, the king of Assyria is back, and he takes land and he takes captives. And this is the beginning of the Assyrian captivity for the people of Israel. When we talk about the captivity, often that is looking at the Babylonian captivity, which we're yet to get to. Well, we will get to. But this is the Assyrian captivity, which took place before that, of the people of Israel. And so they cart Israelite people off, and they took Israelite land. And one of the things that we've been looking at as we go through Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, even Genesis, when we went through it, we're going to look at it here going into Deuteronomy, starting next week, is the land is important. Like, God promised them this land. And so for this Assyrian king to come in and take parts of that land, this is kind of a crisis of faith thing, where now it's like, wait, God promised us that, and that king just took it. And so there's this note that way back, and we're going to look at this in a few weeks in the book of Deuteronomy. Moses told them about this. Moses said, you're going to be taken captive if you don't get this stuff right. And here it is. It's playing out. They're being taken captive, and it's not great. And it's really sad. And in many ways, the dark days for the people of Israel have begun. But the chapter is not over. Verse 32. In the 2nd year of Pekah, the king of son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, remember Jotham is Azariah, also known as Uzziah. That's his kid. Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that his father Uzziah had done. Nevertheless, the high places were not removed. The people still sacrificed and made offerings in the high places. And he built the upper gate of the house of the Lord. And the rest of the acts of Jotham and all he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days the Lord began to send Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, against Judah. Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father, and Ahaz, his son, began to reign in his place. And Ahaz is who we will begin looking at next week in our Sunday morning time. But we jump back to the people of Judah, and we have this first king this week, Azariah, Uzziah, same guy, and we're told that he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. He didn't get rid of the high places, but he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. And he reigned 52 years. And then we have 5 Israeli kings, all who have this comment that they did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. At each one of them. And the last one of those 5 kings does what was evil in the sight of the Lord. And then the Assyrians come in and they take the people of Israel captive. Now, if you are Jotham and you are Judah, and you're looking at that, here's what you have to learn. Do what is right in the sight of the Lord. Because, again, you've had 5 Israeli kings, and as readers, we're looking at it, and we're going, man, they should really tear down those high places and get stuff back on track. There should be no, they did what was right, except they need to do what is right, period, end of conversation. Because if they look across to their brothers, the nation of Israel, who is being taken captive, why? Because their kings are doing what is evil in the sight of the Lord, making deals with foreign kings, killing their own people, taxing their own people for false security. So the comment here is that first there is tension on the horizon for the people of Judah too now, because we've had these like bad situations sandwiched between 2 good kings of Judah. And both of them, it says they did what was right in the sight of the Lord, but they didn't get rid of the high places. So we're maybe there's this comment of like, let's get rid of those. Stop it. Let's be done with it. And we have this hope, this like, can Judah do what is right in the sight of the Lord and learn from Israel's mistake, having now been taken captive? Can they learn and do better? And we're going to look at the answer to that question next week with Ahaz. If you want to read ahead, it's chapter 16, because that's what comes after 15. But it's all eyes on Judah. And it's this notion that it is wise for us to observe things that are going on, especially observe the past and history, and learn from it and move forward and not continue to make mistakes, especially mistakes of sin, as we move into the future. So that's what we have for 2 Kings chapter 15. We will be in chapter 16 next week. Sorry this wasn't live this morning, guys, but I will see you on the regular Eastside Christian Church Facebook page, group. I don't know if it's a page or group. The internet is tough. But I will see you there. I will be speaking this morning. Love you guys, and I'll see you tonight at youth group at 4 p.m. Take care, guys. See ya.